So we're here with Chuck Huber, who voices so many names, but I'll try and name a few. Emperor Pilaf.
I'm so angry.
Android 17.
Now I'm going to kill you because you're human.
And, oh, Jesus, so many
Dr.
others.
Stein from Soul Eater.
Oh, yes. D. Greyman as well.
Oh, Reaver from D. Greyman. And Austria from Italia. Who else?
Shao Tucker, Fetch. Oh, Shao Tucker, of course. How could I forget that?
Good girl.
Such a creepy character. And
It's a horrible character.
One episode he got in...
I know, I was mad.
In Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And that one episode was... It defined what maybe that season, what people were going to be in store for that whole show.
Right.
Because it was so dark, but also the beginning with the daughter and that. Like,
right.
I mean, it was such a layered show.
Yeah, Shao Tucker's the only character that fans come up to the table and are like physically angry with me personally. Like, Chuck Huber, you're a horrible person. And I'm like, I'm just an actor. And they're like, no, you were Shao Tucker, so you're bad. And I'm like, well.
Did he ever mention Android 17? Or was he just too smooth?
Do what?
When Android 17, did they say anything about him?
Oh, they love Android 17. Android 17 is a favorite. And the first time I saw Android 17 on the video monitor, I was like, who's she? She's totally hot. And they were like, no, that's your character, dude. And I was like, oh, no, I feel creepy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, twins, and I mean, it was fun.
Right.
Like, I mean, you see 18.
Right.
They look identical, just a different hair color.
Right.
So yeah, I suppose we should get started.
Oh, yeah, we should do an interview. Proper
started.
interview.
So you're here at Eirtakon. Is this your first time in Ireland?
Yeah, this is my first time in Ireland, first time in Dublin. Dublin is awesome. It reminds me a lot of my hometown, Chicago, like the feel of it, the people, this kind of like city aspect of it. It feels a lot like Chicago. So I felt very at home as soon as I got off the plane. I just started walking around the city.
And how have you found your fans so far? Have you gotten to meet many of them?
Yeah, I have a table down in Artist Alley, and I had a panel last night. And Irish people are very polite. Like, you guys are a really polite group of people. Like, you don't, like, impose yourself. Like, I have to, like, it's okay. You can talk to me. And they're like, oh, we don't want to bother you. I'm like, no, I'm here to be bothered. So, you guys are very polite.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been hearing that from a lot. Like last year, Steve Bloom said very much the same thing.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah, and so Chuck, where did it kind of all start? Did you always want to be an actor? Did you, you're now into ADR as well.
Right.
You seem to always want, it seems that you have a very creative background. Did you always want that?
Yeah, I started acting, I started acting around the kitchen table with my brothers. It always used to be about doing funny voices. And when I really think about it, like the very first acting I ever did was voiceover acting, because it was prank phone calls that we would do as kids, or like answering hello, you have answered the place that you are trying to call. What can I do for you? Trying to do funny voices or whatever, one-upping each other, my brothers and I. So that's really how it started. And then, of course, I went to school at DePaul University, which is a conservatory acting program, and from there started working in theater in Chicago and film and TV, and then moved to Texas, where because I have 6 children, and we moved out of Chicago because you can't raise a family in the city. It's tough. Well, you can. You just you have to have more money. And so in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where my parents and brothers and sisters all lived, we moved down there. And then I was in rehearsals one day, and Brad Jackson, who played Oolong in DBZ, came in, and he's like, hey, they're having this audition for this Dragon Balls thing. You should go check it out. And I was like, Dragon Balls? What's that? And we didn't even know how to pronounce it right yet. And so he gave me this number, and I called, and this guy was like, hey, my name's Chris Sabat. You can come in for an audition. And I was like, okay. And I went in for an audition, and the first character I got was Garlic Jr.
Nice.
The Garlic Jr. saga. And after that was Android 17, and then came Hiei and all the rest of it. So.
And did you enjoy, like you say, Dragon Ball Z? Your first character was Garlic Jr. What was that like? Because he's a fan favorite because he started off in the films, and
right.
And then I actually, when I first saw that arc, it was quite frightening because there's no Goku around, and obviously it's all Gohan and Piccolo versus everyone. How did you find your first forte into kind of the Dragon Ball Z universe?
Garlic Jr. was a lot of fun. Actually, the very first character I ever recorded was one of his henchmen named Mustard. Mustard had a voice like this, I think was the voice that I did for him.
And he looked like that.
Yeah, he's kind of, and then Garlic, I'm going to push you into the dead zone. You know, it was fun because I never got to, on stage or in film, you never get to play like these sort of broad, crazy alien characters. And in anime, you get to play all sorts of different characters you'd never get to play on film or on stage. So, you know, and it's, you know, anime acting is real acting, but a lot of the characters are drawn very big. So you get to kind of, you know, pull all the stops out and just be, you know, crazy sometimes.
And from what we've heard, it's much more technical than normal voice acting because obviously you have to redub a lot of your character. You have to redub every single character you have to do. Right. So is that what maybe got you into ADR and that?
Yeah. Do you mean?
Well, you're a writer. You
do some of the ADR writing and stuff. Yeah. That's sort of the natural transfer there. Once you learn how to do it with your voice, matching the flaps. That is so. Once you know how to do that as an actor, which is it's kind of like learning dance steps really quick in a dance audition. You just have to kind of see the way the flaps go and trust that the writers have written to match those flaps and say the line as it's written and make sure you're pausing properly. And then that naturally transferred into the ADR writing, which is a difficult task. ADR writing is like 80% data entry, 20% creativity. Unless you're doing, I was fortunate enough to get to write the 3rd season of Sergeant Frog and the first couple of seasons of Hetalia. And shows like that, we got to kind of go off script. Normally you just get the Japanese translation, which doesn't fit the flaps. And you have to change it to make sure it fits the flaps and still makes sense the way the story intends it to. But with shows like Hetalia and Sergeant Frog, they just let us go off. They just let us do whatever we want to the script and make it as funny as we could make it.
And try to keep in the same tone, though.
Yeah. I mean, well, Hetalia, we changed it up a lot because the Japanese sensibilities of all the other countries obviously were different than American sensibilities of all the countries, and I got in a little bit of trouble because I think one of the very first jokes I wrote was. Italy comes up to Germany and goes, "I got you a present." And Germany goes, "What is it? Another Jew?" And it's like, oh, hey. And after that, the guys at Funimation were like, "Hey, maybe you should write extra lines for those so that we're not going too far over the line." But Jamie Markey and I got to write that show. It was a lot of fun to do together.
And have you found now, there's a huge fan service for a lot of the characters you do, especially the Dragon Ball Z characters. How have you found people like Dragon Ball Z Abridged, the guys from there? Have you found Team 4-Star?
Yeah, Team 4-Star, those guys are great. I guested with them at Detroit's Youmacon, and they were just, I remember when they had just started out, and they're like, "We're going to do an Abridged," and you're like, "Okay, go, kids." And then 5-6 years later, they were like, "We're celebrating our 1 millionth subscriber on YouTube." And I was like, holy crap. 1 million subscribers on YouTube is huge.
Yeah, and they've now introduced, I don't know if you watch it, they're 17 and 18 are now in it.
I know, they're very funny.
They're very funny.
Yeah, very good stuff.
So now you've been to Dublin. Have you been anywhere around Dublin yet? Because I know last year they brought out some of the guests to the Guinness Brewery. Did you get a chance to go there?
No, I haven't done the Guinness Brewery thing. I asked most Dubliners, and they're like, "No, I've never done the Guinness Brewery thing."
Don't.
No, nobody does. So it seems like that's the wrong thing to do.
You know, when you're in the city, you don't really think, "Oh, I should probably go to it." You know, it's very much a kind of tourist.
Yeah, I don't like the tourist things. I like to just sort of get out and walk around and find a pub or find some shops that I want to buy some stuff in. I'm interested in going to see some theater while I'm here because Irish theater and Irish playwrights are very well respected in the States. It's one of the go-tos, the classic Irish theater, Sean O'Casey or, the Samuel Beckett. So we very much respect Irish. I mean, there were the Samuel Beckett and the Sean O'Casey Bridge right there. I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I think the Gate Theater is doing Wuthering Heights. I was told that's a good production going on right now. So I may try to hit that tonight.
And you're just saying there about your 6 children.
Right.
How did they feel about you? Did they just see you as dad, or they go, "Oh, did they go, what are you doing today, Dad? Are you going to be a villain? Are you going to be a hero? What's happening?"
They're not very much into anime. I remember my second oldest boy, Sebastian, came home from school one day, and he was like, "Dad, everybody freaked out at school when they found out who you were." And I was like, "Yeah, that'll happen sometimes." It's like, I didn't understand it. I was like, "Yeah, well, because they're not into anime."
No, none of them?
None of them. I think...
think you could get 1 out of 6.
Maybe one of them will. Some of the younger ones probably, as they get older.
So, how have you found now? You said you're talking about the Dublin fans. How do you find traveling? Like, is that the most interesting part of voice acting? The fact that you get to travel to all these conventions all around the world.
Yeah,
Is there anywhere you've not been? Because you said Sydney. You said
Sydney, Perth, and now Dublin, and then all over the United States.
Yes.
The great part about it, and the part I think is really interesting, is the fact that you guys are the same. We're the same all over the world. So anime fans are anime fans everywhere you go. So to go halfway around the world and go to a convention and have people be exactly like they are just in my backyard, it's sort of a fun, it's a weird sort of fame because it's a global fame, but it's a very sort of tight niche fame. And nobody knows me outside of the convention. I don't walk into a store somewhere and people are like, oh, nobody knows who you are, which is great. Because I have friends who are legit famous and have to hide when they go out or they just don't get any peace. So, I think the interesting part about traveling is that you get to see that everybody is pretty much all over the world. Everybody is exactly the same. We're all in the same sort of situations.
And do you bring your family along? Maybe when they were younger, do you bring your children and that to the various countries and cities that you go to?
Yeah, I took, I think it was last summer, my son and I were traveling, Gabriel and I were traveling in Idaho, and someone canceled in a convention in Chicago, and they were like, can you come out? And I was like, sure, but you got to bring my son too. And they were like, okay. And so he got to go to the convention in Chicago, which was a lot of fun for him.
Oh, good, because since they don't know anime and that, how would they find conventions? Like, do they at least like comic books?
Oh, they're big gamers, so they like games.
Grand.
So they're interested in some of my gaming credits, like Borderlands 2 and that sort of stuff. So they get interested in that. And I think they played one of the DBZ games, maybe Budokai,
Budokai.
where they could actually play my character with my voice. So that was interesting to them.
That would have been one of the later ones, Tenkaichi, I think.
Yeah, probably.
So how have you found, like you said there, your Borderlands game series? How much fun is it? Are you a gamer yourself? Do you enjoy the games that maybe you're in? Like you said, Borderlands. Are you in the pre-sequel?
Yes. A Tacitor in the pre-sequel, I believe, is the name of my character. I enjoy, like, my manager in Austin, best friend, went out of town and I had to watch his house for like 10 days. And he's a big gamer and he had just gotten BioShock, Borderlands 2, and GTA 5. And so I had nothing to do but memorize my lines for a Shakespeare play I was doing. I was playing Petruchio. So I had to sit there and memorize Petruchio lines and play any one of those 3 games. And I played Borderlands for a while, and it's a really good game, and I probably would have played it more had I not also had GTA 5 and BioShock to play. I mean, it's a tough call.
Yes.
Sometimes, it's fun to play a game that all your friends are voices in, but it can also ruin it because takes
you out.
Yeah, it takes you out of the game because you're constantly... because part of the fun with video games is you get immersed in the story and you sort of lose yourself in that story. And whenever, it's like, oh, Monica Real's my gun, or whatever. It's not as, suddenly you're not in the game. You're sort of in the industry.
Like going to the lads. I was playing with you last night. What?
Yeah, I know, totally.
So you've had this great career. What kind of future projects do you have in the pipeline coming up that you can maybe mention?
Yeah, I can't mention many of them.
That's a usual thing I keep being told.
I can neither confirm nor deny whether or not my next project will be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
It might be terrific.
Yeah, it might be amazing. So anime and video game wise, I can't say any of the ones I've just done. I'll be able to announce them eventually. Actually, I went in to record and they were like, we don't know when you'll be able to announce this. Okay. Otherwise, I'm working on a book with my girlfriend. My girlfriend's an artist, Jessica Von Braun, and she and I are writing I'm writing and she's illustrating Snow White and Rose Red.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, we're gonna take that story and turn it into something beautiful. I finished my movie, first feature film, Arbor Day the Musical. It's the world's best and funniest September 11th musical.
Oh god. What's it?
Starring Vic Mignogna.
Oh,
really does.
wow.
Totally,
wow.
yeah.
That's just...
His version of Firefighter Jesus. That song is amazing. Really good.
Did you have to twist his arm to get him to do that? Or was
No,
it just like he for that role?
No, he you know, Vic and I have been friends for years. So when I said, "Hey, can you do this musical with me?" He was like, okay. You know, because the subject matter is you know, touchy.
Yeah, but
to some people, I don't know why.
Well, yeah, that's just like, where did you even come up with that kind of idea? Like, where does that all kind of begin?
Yeah, that all started because I don't believe what happened that day is what they tell us on the news. And so I sort of went down the rabbit hole, like studying what it was. And then as I brought more and more artists on board to make the film, it became more about people and connections and not so much about conspiracies and aliens and hollow earth. No, I don't know. And leprechauns. No, I'm just kidding. No, I had to say
You just went too far there.
I did. Did I push it over the edge?
You jumped the shark.
I jumped the shark. But you know what's funny about jumping the shark is Happy Days went a season and a half more after jumping the shark.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Supernatural.
10th
season.
10th season. They've jumped all the sharks.
All the sharks, and they're still riding high.
Yeah. Well, they're over now. Isn't it done?
I don't think so.
I think it's finished. No, it's going to be over after this season.
After the season?
I think so.
Wow.
Because I think I remember seeing an article about Jensen Ackles, what's next? So they were going to see what. Yeah.
So, Chuck, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for the
It's been
interview.
my pleasure, and you Irish people are so cute with your accents. Oh my God. You guys.
Oh, God. Chuck, thanks very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.